Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loss, Love, and all the other shit in between. I'm Sean, and this is episode 2. Back to the Future, returning to self-love and real love at 40. Today, we're talking about something many people face. The challenge in finding a love that is real, but also the equally important journey of learning to love yourself along the way. Now, dating in your 40s isn't just about downloading an app and seeing what happens. It's more like stepping into a world where everything has changed while you are dealing with real life. Careers, heartbreak, kids, responsibilities, or just trying to survive Monday mornings. Suddenly you're meant to put yourself out there again, whatever that actually means. Now, let's be honest. It can be tough. You're older, wiser, a bit more tired. You've lived through enough ups and downs to write a book. And sometimes you wonder if you're even built for this modern dating stuff. People in their 20s are out here talking about situationships, ghosting, soft launching, and you're just trying to figure out why someone replied WYD at 11:47 p.m. The challenge isn't just finding someone, it's finding someone real. Someone who actually wants a genuine connection, not someone who treats dating like a casual hobby. And while you're searching for that, you're also dealing with your own doubts, your own confidence dips, and the moments where you look in the mirror and wonder if you're still enough. But here's the truth. You are enough, even on the days when it doesn't feel like it. And dating later in life isn't a downgrade. If anything, it can be more meaningful because now you know yourself better, you know what matters, and you're not wasting time pretending to be someone you're not. It can be frustrating though. The slow replies, the awkward dates, the moments where you walk home thinking, did I really just sit through someone talking non-stop about themselves for 40 minutes? But it's also full of hope. Even when it feels like the world is moving faster than you can keep up, there's always a chance for something real to find you. And while you're searching for that real connection, there's another part of the story. Learning to value yourself again. Because love isn't just about choosing someone. It's about choosing you first. It's about showing yourself the same kindness, patience, respect, and care you're out there hoping someone else will give you. When you're in your 40s, that self-love matters more than ever. And it keeps you steady, it keeps you grounded, and it stops you from accepting less than what you actually deserve. Now, this episode is about the real struggle, the real humor, the real frustration, and the real hope of trying to navigate dating later in life. Not as a perfect version of yourself, but as the version who has lived, fought, grown, and is still brave enough to believe in love. So let's get into it properly, because dating in your 40s isn't just about swiping right, it's about picking yourself up after life has thrown a few curveballs and saying, all right, let's try this again. And that takes guts, real guts, guys. Not the pretend confidence you had in your 20s when you'd walk into a bar thinking you were invincible. No, this is adult courage, the kind that comes after heartbreak, stress, responsibilities, and a few nights where you've sat on your sofa thinking, what am I even doing? Because the truth is, dating now is a completely different sport. The rules have changed, the players have changed. Half the time you don't even know if you're on the correct pitch. And that's where the challenge begins. Most people dating in their 40s aren't sitting around twiddling their thumbs. You might have kids, jobs, bills, or elderly parents who call you at the worst times ever. Find me anyone at this age who says I've got loads of free time to date, and I'll show you someone who absolutely does not. So when you finally do get a moment to meet someone, the pressure feels bigger. You're hopeful, you're nervous, and you're also half exhausted because you've been at work all day. And then the date turns out to be someone who brought their emotional baggage in a suitcase with wheels on it, just rolling it behind, like they're checking in at the airport. Sometimes you feel decent. You've slept well, your clothes sit right, and you're thinking, yes, I've still got this. Other days you're staring at yourself thinking, why does my face look like it's buffering? Now that's normal because everyone goes through it. Every single person, guys. And here's the thing, confidence at this age isn't about pretending you're perfect. It's about knowing you're not perfect, but you're still showing up anyway. Now that's real strength. And it's a lot more attractive than any fake confidence someone tries to plaster over themselves. Another thing that you'll bump into in your 40s, people with walls so high you need climbing gear to get anywhere near their heart. This doesn't make them bad, it just means they've lived, they've been hurt, and they've been through some shit. And when you're trying to find a real connection, it can be really hard to break down those barriers, especially when you've got your own. And this is where the journey of loving yourself comes in, because it's impossible to open up to someone else when you're still treating yourself like a backup option. People say all the time, you need to love yourself, like it's as easy as brushing your teeth, but it's not. It's work, real work, the kind you don't see on Instagram. It's choosing not to criticize yourself every time something goes wrong. It's giving yourself a break on the days where you're struggling. It's remembering you're worth a real connection, not just attention, not just company, but love that makes you feel safe and seen. Because if you don't believe you deserve a real love, it's easy to settle for something half-hearted or temporary, and you deserve so much more than that. It's easy to question yourself after a string of disappointments. You might sit there thinking, is it me? Am I doing something wrong? Is real love even possible for me right now? You're not alone in that. People in their 20s feel it. People in their 30s feel it. And even people in their 50s and 60s still feel it. Love does not have an age limit, and neither do doubts. But what does change with age is your ability to grow through them. At 20, heartbreak feels like the end of the world. At 40 plus, heartbreak hurts, but you know you can get back up. You've done it before. You can do it again. Even though dating can be stressful, there's still humor in the madness. Not forced humor, just real life moments that make you shake your head. The date who couldn't stop talking about themselves. The person whose profile photos were definitely taken in 2010. And the one who said they were laid back, but argued with the waiter over a napkin. Now, you can't make this shit up. And sometimes those moments are what keep you going. They remind you that you're human, the world is strange, and love really can show up when you least expect it. Now, you might not have found it yet, but it's out there. Trust me. And not the kind of love that drains you or makes you question yourself. The kind that feels steady, comfortable, warm, safe. A kind of love that sees you, the real you, and chooses you every day. Dating in your 40s can feel tough at times, but it also puts you in the perfect place to recognize that kind of connection when it finally comes along. Because now you're not looking for someone to fill a gap. You're looking for someone who fits your life, your values, your journey, and your heart. Now that we've opened the door to what it feels like when you step back into the world of dating, let's talk about the part nobody warns you about. The part where the whole thing feels like a maze built by someone with way too much time on their hands. Dating again in your 40s comes with a mix of hope and hesitation. You want something real, but you also lived enough to know how much getting it wrong can really hurt. That doesn't make you weak. It makes you aware. You don't fall for the first person who breathes in your direction anymore. You pay attention. You've learned the value of your time, your energy, your peace, and your heart. Even with that awareness, dating doesn't magically get simple. It's like trying to start a new chapter of life while still carrying the lessons, hurts, and wins from your past. You're open to someone new, but you know not everyone has been through the same stuff as you have. Some days it feels exciting, like stepping into something new and promising. Other days it feels overwhelming, like trying to communicate with someone whose emotional language is completely different from yours. Now that's the tricky part. You're hopeful but cautious. You're open but you're guarded. You're ready but still healing from the things that shaped you. And that mixture can feel heavy. especially when you face the thoughts you don't always share out loud. The doubts, the comparisons, the fear of not being enough, or the idea that maybe everyone else had it figured out except you. Here's the truth. Nobody has it figured out. Not in their 20s, not in their 30s, and definitely not in their 40s. Everyone is winging it still, more than what they can actually admit to. What does change in your 40s is that you're not dating to fill a gap or fix something that's in your life. You're dating because you want something meaningful and not just something that's missing. You want something stable, something that feels like home instead of another lesson you didn't ask for. Yes, it can still be frustrating. You can go from feeling hopeful to feeling fed up in the space of a single conversation. You can feel connected one minute and confused the next. You can meet someone who seems promising and then realize you're not ready for that kind of love you're willing to give. Even with all of that, there's something powerful about standing in the stage of life and saying, I still believe in real love. That belief alone should, or you haven't given up on yourself. That's what it shows. Now, dating in your 40s isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about reminding yourself that you're still capable of being chosen, appreciated, valued, and loved for the person you've grown into, not the person you used to be. Humor becomes essential. Without it, you cry at every awkward text or get annoyed at anyone who overshares on a first date. There's something freeing about laughing at the awkward moments. The person who talks for an hour without asking your even asking your name. The one lecturing about the podcast while you're trying to eat. Or the laid-back person arguing with the waiter about the napkin. These moments, while frustrating, become stories you tell later and laugh at. Because laughing is a sign you're still in the game, still willing to try, even when it is messy. Dating in your 40s also teaches patience. You can't rush connection, and you can't force someone to be ready for what you have to give. It's about noticing the little signs, the way someone listens, the way they respect your time, or the small amounts, or the small moments that make you feel like being with them is easier than being apart. And let's be honest, technology hasn't made it easier. Swiping, texting, ghosting, it can all feel like a test you didn't even sign up for. But the upside is, you know yourself better than ever. You know what you want. You know what's worth your time. That clarity is priceless, even when the process is messy. Another thing to remember, real connection doesn't happen fast. It's built slowly, with effort, with honesty, and with moments of discomfort that turn into understanding. You learn to ask the questions that matter. You listen to the answers and notice the red flags without panicking. And self-respect is your secret weapon. When you respect your own heart, you don't settle. You notice who's treating you well and who isn't. You step back when it's necessary, and you step forward when it feels right. You keep your standards high, not out of pride, but because you know your worth. The beauty of dating in your 40s is that you can laugh at the nonsense while still staying serious about what matters. You can enjoy a silly conversation and still spot the qualities that matter in a partner. You can survive the awkwardness and celebrate the moments of connection. You also learn the value of timing. People don't always arrive in your life when you want them to. Some dates are a week too early, some are a month too late, and some are exactly when you need them. It teaches you to be patient without losing hope. Then there's honesty. By this age, it's not about pretending to be something you're not. It's about showing up as yourself, with all your quirks, your habits, and stories. You don't have time for games, and neither does anyone you want to be with. That's honesty, because of foundation of something real, the kind of connection that doesn't fade after a month. And yes, there are moments of doubt. You scroll through old messages or wonder why someone didn't reply, and that's normal. The difference now is you don't let it control your mood. You notice it, you acknowledge it, and you move on. You've learned that no one else defines your worth. You do. The other beauty of this stage is reflection. You know what worked before, what didn't, and what you need in a partner. partner. You've lived enough to see patterns, and that knowledge gives you the power. You spot early warning signs, you notice compatibility before the surface, and you invest your energy where it matters. And when you finally meet someone who matches that energy, it's obvious it feels lighter, easier, and safer. The conversations flow, the silences don't feel awkward, and the connection feels more mutual. It's not perfect, far from it, but it's real. And that's worth every awkward date, every confusing message, every frustrating swipe. By your 40s, you're dating for connection, not distraction. You're looking for someone who adds your life rather than complicating it unnecessarily. You appreciate consistency, kindness, respect, and someone who shows up. Those qualities matter more than looks or first impressions. And through it all, you learn to trust yourself. You can sense when someone is worth your time. You can decide when to let go without guilt. You can feel your boundaries without apologizing for them. That self-trust is the best tool you have. Better than any dating app, advice column, or friend suggestion. Finally, you learn to celebrate the small victories. A good conversation, a genuine laugh, a connection that doesn't feel forced. Those are moments to treasure. They remind you that the journey, as messy and unpredictable as it is worth it. So once you start seeing all of this, the maze starts to feel less like a trap and more like a path. Each awkward date, confusing text, and doubtful moment become part of the journey. A journey that eventually leads to someone who fits in your life naturally, complements your values, and truly sees you. And that, in the end, makes every misstep, every frustration, and every moment of doubt completely worth it, because the path isn't about perfection, it's about connection, growth, and discovering that real love is possible, and you're ready for it. Now, dating later in life isn't just about going on dates or meeting people. It's about the invincible moments that shape you, the small and quiet experiences that test your patience, your confidence, and your self-worth. You think you're ready, that you're calm, then life throws something at you that reminds you you're human and you've been through a lot. One moment you're laughing at a conversation that flows easily, the next someone goes quiet, cancels last minute, or sends a text that leaves you questioning everything. Did I say something wrong? Was it something I did? Or is this just them? And it hits differently in your 40s, not worse, not harder, just heavier, because you know the value of your time, your attention, and your heart. Remember, your 20s, heartbreak felt like the end of the world, but recovery seemed instant. In your 40s, recovery isn't quick, it's deliberate. You take stock of your emotions, your patterns, your boundaries, and you weigh whether someone is worth giving more of yourself to. Now that takes strength, even when it doesn't feel like anyone's noticing it. Most people don't give themselves enough credit for that. They see a failed date or a confusing interaction and feel like they've failed. But the real strength is showing up again and again, even when your heart is bruised. The real courage is sitting with discomfort instead of running from it and saying, all right, that hurt, but I'm still here. I still want something real. Sometimes the hardest part isn't the date itself. It's the way it forces you to question your worth. You wonder if you're asking far too much, if someone like you deserves real love, or if all the good ones were taken years ago. But deep down, you know the truth. You are worthy. You are enough. You've survived heartbreak, disappointment, and life's absurdity, and that makes you stronger, wiser, and more capable of seeing what matters. Dating in your 40s is full of head-scratching, awkward moments. The person who seems perfect on paper, but in reality is impossibly intense. The one who talks non-stop about listening. The one who disappears for a week without explanation. You learn to spot these signs faster, and that's not cynicism, that's experience. Yes, it stings, but it saves you months of wasted energy on someone who isn't ready for the love that you can give. Clarity becomes your compass. You don't have time for games, manipulation, or someone willing to only meet you halfway. You can spot when someone is genuinely interested versus when they just like the idea of being in a relationship. That clarity, even when uncomfortable, is priceless. Timing also becomes a lesson. People don't arrive in your life exactly when you want them to. Sometimes a connection comes too early, before either of you is ready. Sometimes it shows up too late when you've nearly given up. And sometimes it arrives just when it should, making all the previous awkwardness and confusion worth it. Patience evolves into more than a virtue because it becomes a skill, a necessity. You can rush trust, and you can't force someone to be ready for the love you're willing to give. You learn to notice the little things, how someone respects your time, listens when you speak, or shows care in small, thoughtful ways. Now, these small signs are the real indicators of lasting potential. Again, humor is essential. You can't survive this stage without it. The date who lectures endlessly about their hobbies, the one whose profile photos are clearly from a decade ago, or the laid-back person who argues with the waiter. These moments are exhausting but hilarious. Laughing at the absurdity is proof that you're still in the game, open to love and capable of enjoying life even when it's messy. Now, resilience is something you don't always notice in yourself. Every time you take a step back into dating after a disappointment, every time you navigate confusion without losing yourself, every time you say no to someone who isn't right for you, that resilience is quiet work, invisible to most, but it shapes your heart and mindset profoundly. Self-doubt will show up, whether in scrolling through old texts or replaying interactions. But in your 40s, you've learned a crucial truth. Your worth isn't defined by someone else's interest in you. Your self-trust becomes your shield, protecting you from settling for less than what you deserve. Now, your reflection deepens. You notice patterns in yourself and others, understanding what worked, what didn't, and what you need to thrive in a relationship. That insight allows you to make better choices without cynicism. You spot red flags early, you appreciate the small gestures, and invest energy where it counts. Now, when the right person finally appears, it's obvious. The connection feels light, easy, and natural. Conversations flow without forcing them. Silences feel uncomfortable. You feel seen and appreciated in a way that makes all the previous frustration worth it. It's not perfect, but it's real. And that's real is what matters. Consistency takes precedence over flashiness. Someone who shows up, communicates openly, and respects your boundaries becomes more valuable than grand gestures or a charming first impression. Thoughtful texts or genuine laughter, shared values and respect, those are true pillars of lasting connections. The moments that test you aren't signs of failure. They show that you care. They reveal your heart is still open. They indicate that you're fighting for something meaningful, even when it is messy, slow, or confusing. Every step forward is proof of your energy and your strength, your courage, your readiness for love that fits your life. By the end of it, you realize that dating in your 40s isn't just about finding a partner. It's about recognizing your own resilience, growth, and emotional maturity. It's about seeing yourself clearly, not through past mistakes, heartbreak, or disappointment, but through the person you've become, despite all the obstacles and issues that come in front of you. You've built a life navigating challenges, learning patience, and cultivating wisdom. All these invisible moments, the small tests, the mini frustrations, they've prepared you for someone who matches your energy, complements your values, and truly sees you. And here's the difference between this section and the previous one. Section 3 is about the quiet, internal victories, the one nobody claps for, the courage to keep showing up, the wisdom to step away, the strength to respect your own heart. Those are the real triumphs. Even awkward dates, confusing texts, or disappointing moments in a step in mastering the art of self-respect, patience, and readiness for authentic love. These victories aren't flashy. They don't come with applause, but they matter more than anything because they ensure that when the right person arrives, you'll recognize them and you'll be ready to receive love fully without fear or compromise. By the time that you're in your 40s, you've carried your share of heartbreak, not just the obvious heartbreak, someone leaving, cheating, ghosting, or being outright unkind, but also the quiet disappointments, the relationships that could have been, the almost that slipped through your fingers, the people who weren't right for you, no matter how much you wanted them to be. You know the ones who seem perfect at first, but somewhere along the way something didn't align, and you're left questioning yourself more than them. And let's be honest, carrying heartbreak isn't just a memory, it's an echo of what if in the middle of the night. The pang when you see a place, a song, or even a certain type of coffee that reminds you of them. That little tug of memory that says, remember this? And yes, it hurts a lot, but it's also proof that you cared deeply, that you dared to invest, that you loved, and that worth is worth a hell of a lot. It's priceless. It's always worth something. Even when you know logically a relationship wasn't meant to be, emotionally, it can linger. You replay conversations, small and big, in your head. Did I say the wrong thing? Did I miss a cue? Could I have done something differently? And your brain insists on keeping the company in the reruns, even through your heart, even when it's screaming. Enough already. That's normal. It's human. It's proof you're still feeling, still alive, still capable of deep connection. Now that's the tricky part, letting go. Moving forward doesn't mean pretending the pain never existed. It doesn't mean erasing experiences or pretending the people who hurt you never existed. Letting go is about taking the lessons, holding on to the wisdom, and moving forward without carrying the dead weight of past pain. Think of it like cleaning out your closet. You keep the clothes you love, the ones that fit, that makes you feel good. You toss out the ones that are torn, too small, or no longer suit you, or the ones that look like a dog has ripped a hole in it and you're thinking, where the hell did that come from? Heartbreak is the same. Keep what teaches you. Let go of what drags you down. Because here's the reality. The longer you cling to the past, the longer you deny yourself the chance to experience something real, something meaningful, something that could last. In life in your 40s, it's too short to waste on almost and could have beens. Now, it's not easy, especially when trust has been broken before. You've learned the hard way that not everyone has good intentions. Sometimes the people who seem perfect in your 20s or 30s were actually wolves in woolen sweaters. And opening your heart again can feel really risky, like walking a tightrope over a canyon of past mistakes, disappointments and fears, while someone is standing below with a clipboard taking notes. It's terrifying, and it should feel a little scary. But that fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal that what you're doing is mattering, and that your heart is alive, that you're willing to risk again, that you're willing to choose courage over comfort. Trust doesn't magically return overnight. It grows slowly, quietly, like roots spreading underground. Every time you show up for yourself, every time you give someone a chance while maintaining your boundaries, every time you refuse to settle for less than what you deserve, that's trust in action. That's your heart saying, I'm ready to love again, carefully, wisely, and fully. And learning to trust isn't just about trusting others, it's about trusting yourself. Trust that you'll recognize the red flags. Trust that you'll know when someone is right. Trust that you'll have the courage to walk away if it's not right. And trust that you can keep your heart open even when it hurts. Because love in your 40s isn't about reckless abandon. It's about deliberate courage, the kind that comes from knowing your worth, having been burnt before and refusing to settle for anything less than respect, honesty, and connection. It's the love that says, I will take my time, I will protect my heart, but I will not lock it away. Look, there'll be awkward moments still, dates that go nowhere, conversations that fizzle like bad fireworks. Moments when you think, seriously, another one? But those moments don't mean failure. They mean you're still trying, you're still participating in life, you're still willing to believe connection is possible. And honestly, those awkward moments are the seasoning of dating in your 40s. They remind you that you're human. They remind you that not everything in life is serious. That not every misstep is a disaster and something laughing, and sometimes they laugh at you for the ridiculousness and of it all. And the only way forward is to face it head on. If you can't laugh at a 45-minute date that ends with you both awkwardly staring at your phones, then what can you laugh at? Every heartbreak, every disappointment, every awkward interaction has prepared you for something better, for someone ready to meet you where you are, someone who will value your experience, honesty, patience, and courage, someone who doesn't just want the shiny, perfect version of you, but the messy, brilliant, lived-in version, the one who has fought, grown, stumbled, and gotten back up stronger and stronger and stronger. You don't have to rush. You don't have to settle. And you definitely don't have to pretend you're over something you're not. Healing at your own pace is part of the journey. But choosing to heal, you're creating space for someone who can love you fully without the weight of unhealed pain clouding the connection. Dating in your 40s is about balance. Balancing hope with caution, openness with wisdom, vulnerability with self-respect. Real love takes patience. Real love takes persistence. Real love takes the understanding that the right person won't just show up randomly. They'll show up at the right time, and you'll be ready to receive them because you've done the work to stand strong in your own life. Balance also means knowing what you want, saying no to what doesn't fit, saying yes to what feels right, and trusting that in your 40s, clarity is your secret weapon. And here's the gift of letting go. Freedom. Freedom from patterns that no longer serve you. Freedom from fears that have held you back and made you feel small. Freedom to embrace a future where love can be real, deep, and sustaining. And freedom to walk into a room without the chains of past disappointments clinging to your shoulders. Because freedom to say, I am ready, I am open, I am worthy. Freedom is radical, it's revolutionary, and it's yours when you stop carrying what you no longer belongs to you. By the end of this section, the key takeaway is simple. Your past does not define your future. Your experience have taught you what you value, what you need, and what you deserve. That clarity, that's your superpower. And with it, you're no longer wandering through dating blindly. You're walking with intention, with confidence, and with a heart that knows the difference between temporary companionship and real love. In your 40s, you don't just date, you show up. You learn, you grow, you laugh at the ridiculous moments. You pick yourself up when it hurts. And above all, you keep believing that real love, steady, honest, and mutual, is worth every risk, every awkward conversation, every moment of doubt. And when you finally find it, you'll know, not because it's perfect, nothing in life is, but because it feels like coming home. The person who sees you, all of you, and chooses you every day makes all the past heartbreak, all the learning, all the waiting worth it. Now, you can be in love with somebody, but not be actually in love with them. And that's where the definition is. You can love someone, but you're not in love with someone. It's weird. It's like a totally different thing. It's a totally different dynamic. You'll always love that person, but the truth of the matter is, you're not in love with them right now. So sometimes you have to make that change. You have to take that jump, that leap. You have to take that risk. Because life is way too short to hold back and play games and just settle for just settling. Because you're worth a hell of a lot more than that. You've got so much love to give. Not just to them, but to your own self. But yet you're invincible to them, you know? And like I always mention, a lot of people just stay on their phones when you're having a communication. You know, when you're talking to each other, it should be looking at each other. You should be, even if it's just nodding, at the end of the day, it's you noticing. It's you paying attention. And that's really, really important in any relationship. Communication is key. You know, if you lose that communication link, there's no point. It feels like you're just in the relationship because it's a relationship of convenience. You know, they might be bringing in more money or, you know, they might be the main breadwinner. But at the end of the day, you've got to be able to fend for yourself. You've got to be able to live by yourself. And that's where it's not just about loving yourself mentally and physically and looking after your body. It's also looking after yourself financially. If you can put yourself in the right position, you don't need them anymore. And then you can look and find somebody that is right for you. It's really important, really, really important. And as we reach the end of this episode of my podcast, I want to start by saying thank you. Not just a passing thanks, but a deep, genuine thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for sitting here with me, listening, reflecting, and being part of this conversation about something that really matters. Finding love in your 40s, navigating life with all its messiness, and staying true to yourself along the way. Now, I know how valuable your time is, and the fact that you've chosen to spend it here with me is no small thing. So I thank you for yourself, for this journey, and for trusting me enough to come along for it. Now, before we officially close, I want to leave you with some thoughts. Real, honest, maybe even a little raw. Because if I've learned anything from years to talking to people stumbling through life and making every mistake possible in the dating world, is that clarity doesn't come from perfection. It comes from reflection, courage, and willingness to keep moving forward. Dating again, or even finding love for the first time in your 40s isn't easy, trust me. Let's just put that out there. If you thought by now it would be all smooth sailing, I'm afraid reality has a different plan. There will be obstacles. There will be frustrations. There will be heartbreak. There will be moments when you feel invincible, moments when your worth feels questioned, and moments when hiding in your comfort zone seems safer than putting yourself back out there. I know because I've been there, and so have countless people I've talked to along the way. We've all fumbled. We've all been awkward. We've all felt scared, uncertain, or unworthy, and yet we've kept trying. And that trying, that messy, imperfect, determined trying, is exactly where the growth happens. Even in the darkest moments, there's always light. It might be faint. It might flicker, but it's there. That light is your resilience. That light is your willingness to keep believing, to keep showing up for yourself and for others, even when the past whispers lies. That light is the part of you that knows deep down that you deserve real love. Real love doesn't just see a curated, shiny version of you. It sees all of you, the bruised, messy, brilliant, lived-in version, and chooses you anyway. It's the love that brings peace instead of doubt, that kind that steadies your heart instead of shaking it to pieces. It's okay to acknowledge the pain. It's okay to admit that heartbreak hurts, that frustration is frustrating, and that some days you want to throw your hands up and give in. But it's just as important to remember that every experience, the ones that left scars, the ones that left lessons, the ones that left you wondering what the hell happened, has prepared you for something deeper, more meaningful. These experiences have shown you what you value. They show you what you won't tolerate. They've shown you what you're willing to fight for. They've shaped you into someone ready to recognize love when it finally appears. And believe me, it will appear. Real love isn't only about romantic connection. It's about the love for yourself. It's about recognizing your worth, owning your strengths, and embracing your unique journey. Loving yourself isn't selfish. It's essential. It's the foundation that allows you to connect authentically and deeply with others. Without it, no matter how perfect a relationship looks on the outside, it will feel hollow in the inside. You've got to start with you. So as you move forward, keep your heart open, even when it feels risky, even when it feels vulnerable. Keep showing up. Keep trusting yourself. Keep believing in what you deserve, even when the setbacks make it hard to see. Because real love, lasting, meaningful, life-affirming love is out there. And every ounce of patience, every act of courage, every moment you have chosen to stay open is guiding you toward it. Now, the journey won't be perfect. There will be awkward moments, misread signals, dates that go nowhere. There'll be days that test your patience, moments that test your confidence, and nights when doubts creeps in like an uninvited guest. And that's all okay. Those moments aren't failures. They're stepping stones. Each awkward encounter, each minor heartbreak, each time you choose to keep going is a reminder that you're alive, learning and refusing to settle. It's part of the process. Every misstep, every awkward conversation, every what the hell just happened moment is preparing you for something authentic, something lasting, something real. Now, you don't have to rush. You don't have to force things. You don't have to pretend you're over something when you're not. Healing, growing, learning, and loving at your own pace is not just allowed, it's necessary. Every time you choose to keep going, every time you refuse to settle for less, You bring yourself closer to the kind of love that feels real, solid, and nourishing. Now, here's the truth. In your 40s, you have something younger people often don't, and that's experience. You've been through heartbreak, disappointment, awkward encounters, and misunderstandings. You've stumbled, you've fallen, you've picked yourself up, you've learned lessons the hard way, and all of this has given you the clarity. And you know who you are. You know what you value. You know what hurts and what heals you. The wisdom is your superpower. It protects you, it guides you, it attracts the people who are ready to meet you where you are. And here's something else I've learned. Love in your 40s isn't about perfection, it's about alignment. It's about finding someone who sees you, the messy, brilliant, lived-in version of yourself, and chooses you anyway. The kind of love that adds to your life doesn't complicate unnecessarily. The love that supports, nurtures, and grows with you, not against you. The love that feels like coming home and not like a battle to be fought or a puzzle to be solved. So my final message is simple. Don't give up. Keep trusting yourself. Keep valuing yourself. Keep believing that real love is possible, no matter your age, no matter your history, no matter how many challenges you've faced. You have everything you need inside you to create the love and life that you deserve. And the best part, it's never too late. Never. Now, these are the 3 C's of life. Choices, chances, and changes. You must make the choice. You must take a chance if you want anything in life to change. Thank you again for listening to this episode of Lost Love and all the other shit in between. Your attention, your time, your willingness to reflect, it all matters. Life isn't always easy, and neither is love, but both are definitely worth it. Keep showing up, keep believing, keep laughing at the craziness of it all. Keep being human, keep embracing your journey, and remember, your story isn't over. The best chapters are still ahead. By the time you leave this episode, I hope you take away this truth. Love is worth the risk, worth the patience, worth the vulnerability, and worth the belief that you are enough, exactly as you are. And when you finally find it, real, steady, honest, and mutual love, you'll know it, not because it's perfect, but because it feels like home. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be brave, be patient, be kind, keep showing up, and never stop believing in the possibility of something beautiful. Thank you. Take care.